So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular public meeting of City Council, this 22nd of February. Without further ado, dear colleagues, may we have the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, we have a quorum. Everyone is here, no absentees. Are there any conflicts of interest? None submitted. So we continue with the agenda. Somebody to move the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Dallaire, Councillor Leblanc. All those in favor signify by saying yes. Contrary-minded, nay. The agenda is adopted as presented. Now, item number 7, presentation, inquiries, and petitions. We're going to start with inquiries by members of council to the Superintendent Beauchesne of the Kodiak Regional RCMP. Are there any questions to Superintendent Beauchesne from the Kodiak? No lights are turning on. So, if you're happy, I'm happy. We're happy with the service this month, and we have to continue. Yes, we have to keep it the same. We hope so. So, that's it. So, we invite you to stay with us. We'd be happy to have your company. Are there any questions from the public tonight? No questions from members of the public? Now for the adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 8th, moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Béliveau. On the question, are there any questions on Councillor Monsieur Godet? My question was, in the minutes, you had mentioned, I think, at the very beginning, yes, the community life of the 4 citizens, we are all in agreement, but you also mentioned that it was the, I believe, the day of the 70th anniversary of the incorporation of the Dieppe as village. It wasn't noted, and I was hoping that at that, okay, so I'll do it now. In the series of the plaques and the 16th and the trees, the 3 first mayors are missing, Siffroy and Arthur Leblanc. So I would hope that someone told me that it was an insult to his family because it was one of his grandfathers that was not mentioned as one of the first mayors of the village of Dieppe. And it's true that Dieppe was incorporated at that time, and I would hope that we would correct this by putting the appropriate plaques and the trees also to make sure that we remember these 3, because at the time they were terms of 1 year, and Siffroy had a term of 2 or 2.5 years. That's why there were 3 people between 1946 and 1952 who were mayors during those years. Thank you, Mr. Melançon. Yes, Mr. Mayor, on that question, we can circulate the information as to how the project was done. It was in the 60th anniversary of the city of Dieppe, and that was during the festivities to recognize the mayors of the city of Dieppe. But I will follow up with the council to inform you of the program that has been set up. And if you wish to reconsider something, then we can look into it. But if my memory serves me well, this is what I remember of the trees and the mayors at the time. Yes, but the names were in 1946 with the first incorporation, because there was no incorporation at the time. So we'll let staff review this and to present the file to us again. Yeah, we shouldn't revise the history, though. Yes, just the facts. So no other question? All those in favor of the adoption of the minutes with the addition of highlighting the celebrations of the 60th anniversary and the incorporation with the mayors and the trees. All those in favor signify by saying aye, contrary-minded nay. So the minutes are adopted with the addition that was moved. Now, we go to item number 10, 10.1, administration. Requests for exemptions. Mr. Melanson, yes, with the bylaw Z22, received a request from the capital for an exemption on this. So section 3.2 says that it's possible for specific reasons, for example, during a show. In this case, a show that it's going to be only in French. So here, for cultural and educational reasons, the council can look into such requests. So we are looking for the approval of this. So the recommendation is to accept the request for exemptions. Okay. For the reading of the resolution, Madame Dallaire, please. The council authorized the Capitol Theatre to proceed with unilingual French and unilingual English external commercial signage for targeted shows. Moved by Councillor Dallaire, seconded by Councillor Thibaudet. On the question. All those in favor of the resolution? Question, Mr. Beliveau. Yes, Mr. Mayor. I would like to know how the decision was made. A municipality which is declared officially bilingual. I think it's mentioned that they're presenting programming in both official languages. How can we compare this request with the one that came to us from l'Acadie Nouvelle, whose mandate in their charter as a unilingual francophone newspaper, and TV5, which is a totally francophone television. Apparently, it's, according to me, it's not at all the same thing. These two requests cannot be compared. So I would like to know what the reasoning is for this request, the adoption of the request. Monsieur Simard. Okay, so the bylaw, Z22, is for bilingual signage. The only exception that we have to this bylaw is when it concerns cultural or entertainment. And in this case, you mentioned l'Acadie Nouvelle, the newspaper. And over the last couple of weeks, there have been requests. So these two requests were different in the sense that we want to advertise only in French. In this case, there are shows that are being presented, shows in French and shows in English. So we are being asked to have signage only in one of the two languages. We cannot permit signage only in French and not permit signage in English. This bylaw does not make any distinction. So on the basis that it's cultural, that both languages have to be treated equally in Dieppe, the recommendation is one of acceptance. Mr. Mayor, I come back to the point that I mentioned at the beginning, the two examples that are given today. Their objective is the promotion of the French language. In this case here, is there something that indicates it's an organization that is bilingual? It's not what TV5 or l'Acadie Nouvelle are. wanted to appear to be respecting bylaw Z22, especially section 3.2. I think you got your answer concerning the distinction, whereas there's the cultural aspect as opposed to the commercial aspect. I think that's the distinction that we're making, if I understand the explanation. Yeah, but once again, Mr. Mayor, it is commercial because they're advertising something that is going to be presented at the theater. So obviously there's a exchange of money. Somebody's going to get paid. So the argument could be said that l'Acadie Nouvelle is the same thing. They're selling their wares, but here, it's very clear that it is francophone, and TV5 is very francophone for their francophone recordings. So my question, I question this: does this not meet the same criteria? This is what I'm raising. Well, it'll be up to members of council to decide. So, Councillor Thibodeau, to answer Mr. Beliveau's question, I believe that in fact it's an organization that is bilingual, but that serves both communities with shows either in French or in English. So when we have a show that is in French, it's targeting the francophone community. So I don't see why signage should be in both languages, and vice versa when it's a show that is targeting Anglophones. I don't see why it would be a bilingual signage. These are two different cultural communities. Are there any other questions or opinions? If not, we go to the vote. All those in favor of the recommendation or the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. There's a nay from Councillor Beliveau, but the resolution is carried. And then now we go to the next item, 10.2, Culture, Leisure, and Community Life Grants. Mr. Melanson, okay, you had the members of council had requested to review the grants for 2016. So the three following resolutions, the groups that had been told about a reduction of 3% as a city of Dieppe. We had been asked to readjust and to have grants or funds identified to set the amounts in the same amounts granted in 2016. So for the Capitol Theatre, 83,430. Maybe I'll do the reading. The community groups, the Santa Claus Parade, Saint Anselme Church, basically snow removal, and New-Brunswick Crime Stoppers. And the third resolution talks about Dieppe circus festivals, Harvest Festival, that are in Dieppe mainly. These amounts were readjusted to the amounts of 2015. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council authorized that a grant be awarded to the Capitol Theatre in the amount of $83,430, the same amount granted in 2016. That Council authorized a budget transfer in the amount of $1,050.50 from account number 1-2-20-28-2310, General Operating Budget, Grants to Organizations, Uncommitted Grants, to account number 1-2-20-28-2300, General Operating Budget, Cultural, Capitol Theatre. That Council authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $2,286.50 from account number 1-2-20-28-2320, General Operating Budget, Grants, Event Hosting, to account number 1-2-20-28-2300, General Operating Budget, Cultural, Capitol Theatre. So moved, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Beliveau, seconded by... No, moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Beliveau. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. maybe we go with the two other resolutions. Mr. Thibault, since your mic is open. That council authorize that grants be awarded to the following groups in the same amounts granted in 2016. Santa Claus Parade, $2,000. Santa Sam Church, snow removal parking lot, $2,500. New-Brunswick Crime Stoppers, $750. That council authorize that these amounts be defrayed from account number 1-2-20-28-2310. General operating budget, grants to organizations, uncommitted grants. So moved, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. 10.2.3, Monsieur Thibodeau. That council authorize that grants be awarded to the following groups in the same amounts granted in 2015. Dieppe Circus Festival, $20,000. Harvest Festival, $3,000. Festival International du Cinéma Francophone en Acadie, $5,000. Hubcap Festival, $2,000. Cultural Festival Magma, $2,000. And that council authorize that these amounts be defrayed from account number 1-2-20-28-2320. General operating budget, grants, event hosting. So moved, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Béliveau. On the question, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried. Next item, 10.3.1, Gas Tax Fund, the 5-year capital expenditure plan. So Council had authorized 12 months ago a 5-year plan on a tax, gas tax, according to the federal plan established. And in order to respect the projects that were approved by the Council in the budget for 2016, we're asking you to review the 5-year capital plan to include a 5th project, remplacement de conduite d'égout. So that is the recommendation in order to get the maximum amount of money for the municipality of Dieppe. For the reading of the resolution, Monsieur Cormier. The Council authorized that the 5-year plan, capital expenditure plan, that's for the gas tax fund 2014-2018 administrative agreement be amended by adding a 5th project entitled Remplacement de conduite d'égout, as outlined in the 5-year plan attached to the memorandum dated February 8th, 2016. So moved. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. On the question. On the question, Mr. Béliveau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would have wanted to know these water pipes, would they be admissible or not? Mr. Thériault. In replacement of water lines, sewer lines maybe are always admissible. It's to be able to get the funds for these projects. So these 2 pipes, either water or sewer, these are acceptable in the program. Yes, they are. Thank you. No other questions? All those in favor of the resolution, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried. 10.3.2, revised loan request, Capital Works program, for the program for the City of Dieppe for 2016. You have the list of the projects. So the councillor who will be reading the resolution will be reading the amounts. So afterwards, if there are any questions, the treasurer, Mr. Thériault, will be very pleased to answer any questions that might come up. For the reading of the resolution, Mr. Leblanc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That Council repeal the resolution adopted on December 14th, 2015, entitled 2016 Capital Works Program Loan Request, and adopt the following. The Council authorized an application to borrow the sum of $2,385,000 be submitted to the Municipal Capital Borrowing Board in order to finance the following projects. General Capital Budget Projects, General Administration Department, Land Purchase, $300,000. Transportation-related services, infrastructure, various streets, $10,610,000 for a total of $10,910,000. Source of funds, 2016 general operating budget, $4,128,403. 2016 existing authority, $616,000. Provincially designated highways program, $2,235,000. Capital Borrowing Board, $2,385,000. 2016 gas tax grant, $1,445,597. General Capital Reserve Fund, $100,000 for a total of $10,910,000. Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Projects, Environmental Hygiene Services, Water and Sewer Infrastructure, $1,471,000. Source of funds, 2016 Water and Sewer Operating Budget, $747,000. Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund, $258,801. Provincially Designated Highways Program, $270,000. 2016 Gas Tax Grant, $195,199 for a total of $1,471,000. At an interest rate to be determined by the Board for a period not exceeding 15 years for the general capital budget, and that Council authorize the City of Dieppe to borrow on an interim basis an amount not to exceed $2,385,000 at the prime lending rate until long-term financing is arranged. So moved. Moved by Councillor Blanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question. No questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Well, that was a couple of $1 million quickly spent. Resolution is carried. Without further ado, next item, 10.4.1. You have before you a renewal of the appointment of Annie-Claude Légère on the Accessibility Advisory Committee for term ending December 31st, 2018. For the reading, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you. The Council appoints Annie-Claude Légère on the Accessibility Advisory Committee for another term ending December 31st, 2018. So moved, Your Worship, Mr. Mayor. Seconded by Councillor Brideau. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Next resolution, 10.5, Planning and Development. Partnership with the Francophone Association of Municipalities in New-Brunswick, the City of Dieppe is being requested as a partnership for the Climate Change Action Program, CCAP. So the municipality was asked to participate in the program concerning the climate change. Equally, that the municipality develop an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions and to fix a goal, to set a goal to reduce collective greenhouse gas emissions. And the city of Dieppe is pleased to be a leader with others. So this is the resolution that will give us the authority to reach those goals. For the reading of the resolution, Mr. Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the municipality of Dieppe participated in the Climate Change Action Program of the Association Francophone des Municipalités du New-Brunswick, the AFMNB, whereas the municipality of Dieppe participated in the Partners for Climate Protection Program, the PCP, of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the FCM, and whereas the municipality of Dieppe has created greenhouse gas emissions inventories and developed an action plan to control and reduce said GHG emissions, that Council agrees to set a goal to reduce corporate GHG emissions by 15% by 2025 with respect to their 2013 reference level, and to set a goal to reduce collective GHG emissions by 6% by 2025 with respect to their 2012 reference levels. So moved. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. Madame Dallaire. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering, because I know that we have a very detailed report. We're talking about what our levels of emissions were in 2013 at page 101, 5,093.7 equivalent of CO2, and we're talking our objectives will be to reduce by 15%. Did we consider in this analysis, because I know that things are going to be changing in the municipality, there's going to be new infrastructure that are going to basically impact our greenhouse gas emissions. So if you really want to reduce by 15%, you have to add things, or else the emissions are going to be higher than this. So how is all this going to be fitting into the analysis, and how is it going to be integrated into everything? Otherwise, it'll have to be reviewed because then we won't reach the targets otherwise. Madame Spencer, our environment specialist. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. To answer the question, we are setting a goal of 15% reductions, but you're right, with the new infrastructure, there'll be new emissions, but our program and our contribution is we are really looking to reduce by 15% with respect to their 2013 reference levels. Yes, maybe, but there are going to be things that are going to be added. So if you want to reduce, that means that we'll have to do more than what is here, or else it'll be done with the new infrastructure, because we're going to have more greenhouse gas emissions, and the end result is that there won't be any reduction. So we basically have to redo the analysis to make sure that we will be reducing things, or else we're looking for a failure. We'll have to check with the AMFNB. We're hiring a consultant, but I can check with them to see. But I know for sure is that we are setting a goal. So maybe would it be possible to come back and see us to give us some details? Okay, thank you, Mr. Beliveau. Thank you, Your Worship. I understood in the report that it was considering all the new things that there will be reductions, and there are a couple that are here, except that obviously if we add some more, we're going to have to make sure that it won't be adding to the levels of today. First of all, kudos for the action plan that we have it here before us tonight. I congratulate those who participated in this. Can I ask a question? Because the advisory... Can I ask a question? Well, can I prevent you from asking a question? Well, no, not really, so okay. The Advisory Committee on Environment, was it asked to study the report, and did they have time to talk it over? No, not as of yet, but we hope that we'll be able to work on it soon. I'm also asking the question, we have to understand that the municipality can do what it has to do to reach the goal. And here I'm talking about the community. There are recommendations and programs to make people aware and to encourage them, and basically incentives to do the right thing for everyone. The question is, for the contribution by the community, as well as the corporation, the municipality. But what would the consequences be if we did not reach our goal? Will we only know it in 2025, or will we have annual reports that will indicate whether we're in line with the set goals? Well, yes, obviously we will continue to measure, because we don't want to reach 2024 and see that we won't be able to reach the goal. And you're right that there will be, I've discussed with the AFMMB, and they will be bringing forth the documentation. They will be preparing flyers, things that we can use to educate our citizens. So they will be helping us with these things in the years to come. Okay, great. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So the resolution is carried unanimously. Next item, 10.5.1. We've received a rezoning project request on Sunset and Sainte-Thérèse Street. So tonight, it's to identify the dates of a public presentation, which will be held here on 14th of March at 7 p.m., and also to accept to hold a public hearing on April 25th, here again also at 7 p.m. This is for planning matters. So it's to authorize these dates. Thank you for the reading of the resolution. Mr. Nolan. That Council accept to hold a public presentation on March 14, 2016 at 7 p.m. at the Dieppe City Hall to present a proposed change to the generalized land use map, municipal development plan bylaws N9 relating to the properties identified under PID 006693667048753, 00668483006689194, 006695051, 0066936, 00987933, and 00987917. And be it further resolved that Council accept to hold a public hearing on April 25, 2016 at 7 p.m. at the Dieppe City Hall to hear the objections relating to the proposed change to the zoning map, zoning bylaw Z-10 relating to the properties identified under PIDs 0069366, 70487533, 00668483, 00668194, 00669051, 00669036, 0098793, and 0098717. Requesting the written recommendations from the Planning Advisory Council and pursuant to Z bylaw. Moved by Councillor Nolan, seconded by Councillor Godet. On the question, Madame Dallaire. Do we have to go to the next step and have the public hearing legally, or do we have authority to vote against it here? Because as far as I'm concerned, the project is not something that is going to be integrated properly in the neighborhood, and I think that it's going to create a lot of commotion in the community for something that is probably going to fail, as far as I'm concerned. Mr. Frenette, Mr. Mayor, to answer Councillor Dallaire's question, it's a power that the council has to not pursue the process of rezoning. On the other hand, as a general practice, we generally like to have the public hearing, but it's still within the realm of the powers of council to reject the resolution. Thank you. Well, okay. My concern that I would like to raise, because it occurred in another municipality where they refused to proceed, and they found themselves in court, and they had to pay some charges for the promoter. I'm talking about the Shediac campground on the water. So a word of warning, Madame Dallaire. Mr. Béliveau. Thank you, Your Worship, Mr. Mayor. It's related to Councillor Dallaire's point, but tonight, are we killing the egg in the shell? Are we not kind of hurrying our decision? There is information in here that maybe brings me to believe that we should go to the public hearing. I'm going to be supporting the process to go to the public hearing. I think that's part of the Planning Act of New Brunswick, and without giving the stakeholders an opportunity to explain, as we've done in the past, there were some projects that were modified after discussion, and improvements also. So I'm going to be supporting the public hearing on the 25th of April. There's plenty of time. Our people will be having access to the information starting tonight. Yes, they'll be able to come and consult it here. Yes, once it'll be published in the newspapers. So we basically give them 2 months to obtain some information. So I will be voting for the resolution. Monsieur Thibodeau, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm of the same mind as Councillor Béliveau, that we should hear the people, though I am concerned by this proposal because there's so many variances that it would be basically accepting anything, and we wouldn't even have a zoning bylaws. So I agree that because I would like to hear the opinions, the recommendations of the Planning Advisory Committee. It would be important because it'll help us to make a decision, and I wanted to go to the public hearing. Conseiller Gaudette, yes, we have a due process of openness and of duty to consult the public in projects such as this. It's a project that would have a big impact, but the other side, on the other hand, there are many other municipalities who would like to see this type of project that will bring people to the downtown core. So I don't know how things are going to end up here, but certainly it's going to be a major impact in this neighborhood. And I think that the majority of the people realize that over the last, over the planning sessions that we've held over the couple of years, that this whole neighborhood is going to become much more commercial. At one point, things are going to happen that are maybe not as pleasant immediately, but which long-term will be beneficial. But mainly, I don't think that we can stop the process. We have to be open and with the promoter. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, we go to the vote. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. One nay from Madame Dallaire. The resolution is carried by a majority of the council. Item number 10.6.1. Mr. Malson, here you have a... Mr. Mayor, you have a tender for the purchase of a street sweeper, cubics, at the cost of $220,492 plus HHT. It's part of the replacement program that's been indicated in the budget, so it's for the approval of council. Thank you for the reading of the resolution. Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That council award the tender for the purpose of a street sweeper for the Public Works Department to Cubex Limited at the cost of $229,492 plus HST, pursuant to the proposal dated February 1st, 2016, submitted by said firm, and authorizes expenditure be defrayed from account number 1-2-35-60-2565, Equipment Program, General Budget. So moved. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. On the question. On the question, Monsieur Godet. Yes, I noticed that there is just one tender. I'm surprised. What's the difference in technical aspects with the Johnston equipments that are well known in the field? Monsieur Saint-Jude, please. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. If you looked at the picture, all the operations are done ahead. So the operator has the control on everything that he does, compared to rolling over the debris, and all the mechanism is in the back. The major difference is a vehicle that is specifically conceived for this type of thing. It's not a truck that has been modified with a motor that we add or the sweeping elements. So there are many advantages, though it has the same capacity as the traditional. So why is there just one tender? Is it the specifications that you had requested? Yes. I would like to ironically note that the documents of the proposer, the proponent, is only in English, and it comes from Quebec. So I was wondering if it was our initiative or if it was their initiative. In the field, we were talking about the folks that we went to see. It's done in French, but in Quebec it's a multinational, and in the field, mechanics, well, things are done in English. That's the only reason it's done. A little bit like in architecture. Well, it's pretty amazing that a proposal that comes from Quebec and it's in English. Okay, any other questions? Monsieur Béliveau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's we shouldn't wait to do well. The purchase of this piece of equipment, does it consider what was discussed on the greenhouse gas emissions? Is this an environment-friendly piece of equipment? Yes, it meets largely the environment standards. Compared to a traditional model like we have now, well, it's half to do the same work. So that's one of the only elements. Yeah, it offers much more than what we have now. So it's going to be helping to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, maintenance, and gas expenses also. We checked with other municipalities. We did our due diligence in that sense. Okay, thank you. Councillor Nolan. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the Revo 5 E-Series. Yeah, for those who are interested, I saw the promoter's video compared to the machine that we have. It's something. Thank you. So if there are no other questions for the resolution, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. This puts an end to the reports section. There are no municipal bylaws. Are there any notices of motion for the next meeting? No? So we go now to inquiries and announcements by members of council. Monsieur Leblanc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An announcement for tonight. I'm happy to announce to all citizens of Ward 5 that I will re-offer in the next 9th of May elections 2016. I was so happy to be able to listen to citizens and to be their voice here at Council. I really appreciated the support that I received, and I am requesting your support for the next elections. If you have any questions, all you have to do is contact me. Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to announce that I am re-offering for Ward 1. I just want to say, people, that I really enjoyed my experience to speak with people. I listened to people, and I'm going to continue to do that. So it'll be with pleasure that I will be re-offering and to be your candidate for the next elections. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Nolan. Nothing for me tonight. Councillor Dallaire. Me neither. Thank you. Councillor Godet. I would like to say that the month of March is Nutrition Month, and dietitians of Vitalité Health Network are going to be encouraging all Canadians to eat in a healthy fashion. The benefits are fantastic for health, better enjoyment of life, and for economy. It's very advantageous for the health resorts. And I was going to say for the 70th anniversary, but we mentioned it earlier, and I would like to express my regret that Musical Youth of Canada, based in Dieppe, were eliminated from the adjustments that we mentioned earlier. As far as grants is concerned, it's a missed opportunity for the community concerning the musical quality that basically brings together 130, 140 people at the Centre des Arts de la Culture for their concerts. So having participated at many of these meets with artists in the community, I think it's a saving that is not easily justified as far as I'm concerned. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Councillor Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As my colleagues, I'm very happy to announce that I'm going to be re-offering for the elections in May for Ward 2 of the city of Dieppe. My experience was a very pleasant one, and I'm re-offering my services to the citizens of Ward 2 for another term of 4 years. Thank you. Monsieur Thibaudot. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I would like to... I was... at the International Evening at the University of Moncton last Saturday, and must say that it was a beautiful evening. If ever you have the opportunity to be there in next year, it's a fantastic talent of the participants that evening. I really appreciated that evening. Secondly, I'm going to do like my colleagues, I'm going to be announcing that I'm re-offering for Ward 4. I believe that I did some good work for the people of that ward, but there are still other things that have to be done. Thank you. That is all. Thank you, Monsieur Thibaudot. Councillor Béliveau. It's very difficult to believe, but nothing tonight. Thank you, Mr. Béliveau. So thank you to all for your usual cooperation, and good evening to all.